And so what I made in 12 years in New York, I lost in 1 year in Florida. And it was a situation that resulted in bankruptcy. And again, I don't say that proudly or negatively. I say that because that was just the circumstance, the way it was.
Hello and welcome to my podcast, Become. My name is Sabine Kvenberg and I am your host. The content will inspire you to reach your aspirations and become the best version of yourself. I feature interviews with successful individuals from various industries delving into their personal and professional journey, how they overcame adversities, and the strategies they used to achieve their goals. We have to become the person we are meant to be first, so we can live the life we are destined to live. That also means we must overcome challenges and work through difficult times to learn, grow, and become the next, more fabulous version of ourselves. I'm so glad that you're here. Let's get on this journey together. My guest today is Paul Barron, entrepreneur at heart, and at age 71, he shows no signs of stopping. Listen to Paul's journey of becoming an accidental entrepreneur, developing, selling, and buying many different businesses, earning lots and losing it all. From starting a sporting goods retail store to high-end restaurants and high-tech vertical printer company, he experienced it all. In his words, as long as I find passion and can stand behind a product or company, it's a go. Now, let's jump into our interview. Hello, Paul. How are you today?
I couldn't be better. I'd have to be twins, Sabine. Thank you for inviting me to join you and your audience.
The pleasure is all mine, Paul. You are the founder and CEO of the Wall Printer USA, which is a vertical printer. And this is really fascinating. I've never heard of a vertical printer. And my question to you is, how does it work? Why would we want to have a vertical printer and who uses it?
So those are all great questions, and the fact that you had never heard about it before does not make you alone, Sabine.
Okay.
The vertical printing, while it's not a very new technology, it's about 15 years old. It originated in Southeast Asia, and that's where most of the um, users of this technology have been until I came on board and discovered it. And have the same reaction that you have, that most people have. Well, gee, I've never seen anything like this before. And for the benefit of your audience, this is a machine that is a printing machine like an inkjet printer on steroids that moves up and down as opposed to your desktop printer that prints on a piece of paper. This is designed with a print head that is exposed to the wall and will go up and down a vertical rail and print any digital art on any wall surface, indoors or outdoors. There's no limit to the width or the height of the mural or the picture or the text that you can print. So whether you want to use it for signage or artwork, but that's who uses it, people who want to put artwork on walls.
You started very recent, just in 2019. So that leads me really onto your journey. Did you always know that you wanted to become an entrepreneur?
So I wanted to be a math teacher. That's what I started doing. But early on, while I was in college, to supplement the good graces of my parents' financial support and to have some spending money beyond that, I got a job stringing tennis rackets. And it was something turned out I was very good at, and people liked the result of my work. So after I graduated college and got a teaching job, I also opened up a little tennis sporting goods store with a friend and who was also involved in the tennis community that I was in the upstate New York town where I went to college. And that store became one store, two stores, three stores. And it was a successful venture. And it was taking more and more of my time because I was enjoying learning not only the interactions with the customers, but the vendors, looking at what people wanted, looking forward in terms of not only tennis equipment, but then it expanded beyond that. into other areas of sporting goods and clothing and different equipment and things. And so I really enjoyed the process of not only understanding things like inventory management and the financial aspects of that venture, and mostly the customer relationships is what I enjoyed more than anything else. So early on, I kind of learned the hats I liked to wear and the ones I didn't like to wear, what got me passionate about something and what didn't. And I gravitated towards those situations that allowed me to have those interactive relationships with, whether it be customers or vendors or whatever. And so I stopped teaching after 3 years because basically the school administration gave me an ultimatum. They knew that I had a interest in a retail sporting goods store that was growing rapidly. And they said, Paul, we like your teaching. We'd like to keep you here. But we understand that your attention is divided. You've got to make a decision. And so basically, in my early 20s, they helped me make that decision. And I decided I really enjoyed the business world. And so I went that route.
This is really the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey. Can you think back at a time that you really had to face a big challenge in your business life, and that was uh, probably nerve-wracking? Was there something like that, or did you just sail through very smoothly?
There was no sailing involved except the kind I did on the water. Um, uh, there are pivots all the time. And there are challenges always being presented, whether working for a company, deciding whether or not that's what I really like doing, enjoy doing, and was getting out of it what is would contribute to my growth path and career path, both personally and financially. Um, but if there was one thing that happened that may have, well, like I said, there are multiple pivot points. After 3 years of growing the tennis businesses, a family friend who saw what I was doing asked me to come work for him for his company because he was at a juncture where he wanted somebody with what he saw with a kind of independent skills that I possessed in growing my stores. And he wanted me to join his company, and he made me the proverbial offer I could not refuse. And my partner accepted a buyout where I was able to sell my interest in my sporting goods stores to my friend and partner at the time. And I went off on this next journey of mine, which was really the second path or third path after teaching to my sporting goods store to being a manager and a salesperson for this jewelry manufacturing company. And I was making more money than I could have thought of. I was doing really well. I was working very hard. 2 weeks traveling a lot, visiting customers, and then 2 weeks managing factory and overseeing orders. I was learning a lot about manufacturing, distribution, managing people, and I was learning more about the things I enjoyed doing, the things I didn't enjoy doing. Once again, gravitating to those relationships. I enjoyed the sales process. I enjoyed marketing, finding customers, and then engaging with them. And so after 2 years with this company, I had received a bonus from them at a Christmas time, which was very generous at the time. And like I said, I was doing very well. I was still in my 20s, making more money than I really thought I would be making. Had a very good life, as busy as it might have been with the work environment. But I also know that the owners and the company, since I was aware of the finances, they benefited tremendously as well, as they should, because they own the company. They're the risk takers. And that's something else I appreciated and learned early on from having my own small business. That I went to the owner and I said to him, I said, look, I really enjoy working here, but I really think I deserve a raise, even though I've been making good money and being paid fairly. And he said something to me which carried me through, which is kind of like the answer to your question about, things that you learn and things that help you identify the pivot points in your life. Should they be faced? The old Yogi Berra, when you come to a fork in the road, take it. And so at this point, I said, I think I deserve a raise. And he said to me, he said, Paul, I'm going to tell you this and take it for whatever it's worth. He goes, when you work for me, I will make sure you're paid more than anybody else will pay you. But know this, you will never make what you think you're worth if you don't work for yourself.
Hmm.
And so I took that to heart because that again exemplified that whole aspect of risk taking. You could win, you could lose when you take risks. But if you're but if a company succeeds, you are going to, and you will benefit more than you would otherwise. And so I took that to heart and I quit.
Let me hop in here real quick to share something with you. Have you ever tried to build your own website, start a newsletter, or build a course and charge for it? Have you ever wanted to make money online but are totally confused by all the different systems you need to have? That's why I use Kajabi. Kajabi is the most popular system for online marketers, coaches, thought leaders, and influencers. Kajabi helps online entrepreneurs take off. Over 100,000 of us use Kajabi and have made over $4 billion. Why not be part of it? The best thing is you don't have to figure out tons of systems or crazy technology to start your online business. Kajabi helps you do all of that, and it's all on one platform. That's why I use it. It makes my life so much easier, and I can even earn money while I'm sleeping. You can build your web pages, blogs, and membership sites. You can create offers, checkout pages, and collect money. You can host your videos. You can start your newsletter list, capture emails, start your marketing funnels, all in one place. It makes it fun and easy with awesome tutorials and support. Since I've joined Kajabi from the beginning, I have a special affiliate link that I would like to share with you. A 30-day free trial. So nothing to lose, but everything to gain. Just go to my link that's in the show notes, sabinekvenberg.com/resources, and we will redirect you to the free trial page. And if you are just starting out and want to get your offer out for sale in just 3 days, let me help you do that. Visit my webpage, by the way, that I built on Kajabi, and apply to making it happen. So now let's get back to the show.
I quit the job and I ended up going to work for a competitor of his that allowed me to work for half the time doing only the sales part of the job, not any of the factory manufacturing distribution employee management part of things that I was doing. So I worked 2 weeks a month traveling around, engaging customers, doing sales. And then the other 2 weeks, basically, I was off, just waiting and planning my next 2 weeks of customer journey. So, and that was a very successful venture that allowed me to make enough money to put aside and then go to my next venture, which after I got tired of the traveling, which started wearing on me, I had another friend who was in the restaurant business, and he wanted to, he was in the bar business, and he wanted to have a really nice upscale restaurant that he had designed in his mind. And he asked me if I wanted to become involved with him, not because I knew anything about restaurants, unlike a lot of doctors and lawyers who go out to eat and think they can be in the restaurant business. Nothing could be further from the truth. I don't suggest people do that. Just because you eat out, you can't be in the restaurant business. Trust me. But I stayed in my lane. I knew what I liked doing. I liked the whole aspect of identifying maybe the location and the business aspects and dealing with the vendors and dealing with the customers, but having absolutely nothing to do with the food and beverage part of the business. That was my partner's end, and it was a good marriage. It lasted 12 years. We built a restaurant that in 1979 that I feel very proud about, even though I exited in 1990, about 12 years later. It was a great success for me, both financially, personally, and any other
What
way.
kind of business
But
was it? What kind of restaurant?
it was an upscale seafood steakhouse about 75 miles north of New York City, and it is still open today. So we're talking 44 years later. For a restaurant to be in business 44 years is pretty
Yeah.
impressive. And again, I was only in it for the first 12 of those years, but I founded it, and the menu and the concept that we developed is still there in place today. And I learned how to tend bar, and I learned how to cook, and I learned how to wash dishes, and I did all those things because that's the way that I am about something. But that wasn't the job that I had. with that business, I dealt with the people for the most part and the vendors. That's what I enjoyed doing.
Hmm.
And you have to learn early on what hats you like to wear and what hats you don't like to wear.
Absolutely.
And when I sold that business, yeah, when I sold that business, that's when I went on, and that's at a point shortly thereafter is when I founded my software company, because I kind of went back to my math
Hmm.
roots to decide what I wanted to do in my next phase of life.
Talking about the next phase in your life, I see from our conversation you got the entrepreneurial bug, so to speak, and we're always looking for new opportunities, growing out of the one business into a next business. With all of that said, I kind of have the feeling you can be, I don't know if you are, like a workaholic. You really focusing on the business, but we also know life and business has to be in balance, your personal life and the business. uh, did you see, or did you have an experience that your business life took over and you had challenges in your personal life, either health, relationship, or whatnot?
Sabine, it's a great question, probably one better asked of my wife than me. She, uh, God bless her. I'm married 30 years now. She's put up with an awful lot. Thank
Congratulations.
you. Yeah, congratulate me. Yeah, and please give her all your sympathy. So she she's put up with a lot, and because I get passionate about something, and then I may want to pivot and do something else, and I don't want your audience or you to think that this was a trajectory in my life. There that took those 12 years that were very successful in the restaurant business. I relocated from New York to Florida because I wanted to play tennis more. And I wasn't working that much in the restaurant. My partner, it was functioning just fine without me, really. And so my parents retired and moved to Florida. So I decided to follow them, not only to be near them as they were aging, but also because financially I was able to afford to be where I wanted to be, and I wanted to be someplace I could play more tennis. So I moved to Florida. But then when I got there after several months, I said, "Well, what's Paul going to do when he grows up?" And I had to figure out what I wanted to do. And the most recent successful thing that I did was the restaurant business. So I opened up a restaurant in Florida, in Delray Beach, Florida. That was a beautiful restaurant, kind of copying my restaurant in New York. But I wasn't very smart or wise about the market, and the research, and also the partnerships I developed in creating this restaurant. And so what I made in 12 years in New York, I lost in 1 year in Florida. And it was a
Mm.
situation that resulted in bankruptcy. And again, I don't say that proudly or negatively. I say that because that was just the circumstance, the way it was. And that's when after that failed, that's when I bounced back to my roots of the education and the mathematics and computers.
Let me interrupt you right there, because I think this is a very important point for for my listeners to understand, and that goes back to the advice the other one of your bosses gave you, to say, "Hey, go in your own business. You will get all the rewards, but you also have to carry all the risks." And believe me, I know what you went through, because I did the same thing. I had a very successful performing arts school, but then I ventured out into something that I was not really educated in, going into real estate, and invested wrong time, um, wrong area, wrong everything, basically. And I lost everything that I worked for those years. I know exactly what you said, and I too had to go through bankruptcy. And I want for our listeners to understand that, yes, you take risks and you make mistakes. We all make mistakes. That's how we grow. But I also truly believe, if we don't take this as a, "Oh my gosh, now I failed. Oh my gosh, the world ends." No, but take this as the stepping stone to our next greater self. And I would like to know from you, Paul, when you went through there, first of all, number one, how did you feel about the whole situation, and what helped you? Because I'm sure losing everything that you made in 12 years is painful. How did you get through that time of your life, through that pain, and turn it around to make it a stepping stone for your success?
So, a great observation and question, Sabine. And the answer for me was very simple. I had wonderful people around me, uh, people that supported me, and not just financially, although that was an element that helped me go day to day until I found my next path. But family and friends that were there to support me, who were as confident in me as I was in me, that I was going to get through that phase of a financial setback, which is all it was. Well, that's not true. It's also somewhat of an emotional one that I, like you said, invested in the wrong market at the wrong time. Even though my restaurant was very successful, we had great 4-star reviews right at the beginning, but it was a market in South Florida that I didn't understand that well. I had people around me. I had people around me that believed in me. I believed in me. I figured, okay, this didn't work out. What's next? And I looked for different avenues to explore. Some things were presented to me. Some things I looked for, which is really where I am today, and actually the last 30 years, looking for different opportunities. To go back to your original point and question about about not and this as well about having the people around you. So I had my wife. She when she sees me these days, and over the last 20 years or so, as companies were approaching me to market and serve and support their products with trying to help them grow. I would look at it first and make sure it was something I could get passionate about and that I would believe in, so that I could really get behind it, because that was absolutely number one important to me before I took on a job or invested in something. And so when I would typically be in my home office, which is where I am today talking to you and your audience, and I would call into the other room in the house and I'd yell to Maureen, my wife, and I'd say, "Hey, honey, come here, come take a look at this, because I found something that was interesting to me." Well, invariably, she learned over the years not to come into my office. Instead, she would go ahead and cut up my credit cards and hide the bank account, because she said, "Oh, here we go. Here we go again. Paul's going to invest in something crazy." But she's been very supportive over the years. And this particular wall printing machine, or vertical printing machine as it's called, when she saw this, she kind of dug it too. And again, to your audience, one thing I didn't mention early on as we begun the conversation, you spend 15 seconds to 30 seconds on my company's website, thewallprinter.com. You'll learn everything there is to know about what I'm doing. And it was a machine that was just fascinating to me. And she said, "Okay, you could sell this." And even though it was the same reaction you had, Sabine, never seen anything like it, I just figured if I could create business opportunities for people and it solved the problem, putting artwork on walls in a different way, and there was a market for it, that I could articulate this to people and help them thrive in their business journeys by making a business out of this. And
Yeah.
so for that reason, I look for things like that I can get passionate about. But ultimately, the whole journey, it's because I've had just wonderful people in my network. And that's really what I've done my whole life, really, is all these jobs that I've had and all these businesses I've created or supported, have the role I've taken, the hat I chose to wear because I think I was very good at it, was those relationship building hats. I wasn't good and still am not good in the financial aspects, still not very good in legal, still very not good in managing, hiring, and firing. Although I've been blessed with a very good team. I've got 15 people working for me.
But see, that's what it's all about. You don't have to be a master in every aspect. But if you have a good team around you that can handle that, hey, that's all you need. You are the creator, you are the one with the ideas.
What makes a good leader? It's very simple. It's somebody who's smart enough to hire the best people to do a job, but wise enough to back off and let them do it.
I love it. I love it.
And so people who think that they can do everything, maybe you can, okay, but that doesn't mean you should. No business. I mean, I couldn't possibly support the customers. We have 120 customers today. I've got a team of 3 people that deals with the customer and technical support. Even though I know everything there is to know about the machines and how to service them, I can't be doing that and also having a conversation like this with you or a potential customer. I can't be doing the social media marketing and video production necessary to let people know what is a vertical printing machine or a floor printing machine, and create those ads and deliver the message, so to speak, of what this business opportunity can offer. And so people are doing that are better qualified than I am, and I just back off and let them do it,
Right.
and hopefully try to keep it all together.
So that was a very insightful conversation. If you could leave our listeners with like one or two tips or pieces of advice that would help them get through a, you know, challenging situation, what would you tell them?
I would look within yourself and look to your network. Look, just seek counsel. And what I mean by that, I don't mean necessarily psychological counseling. I mean, seek counsel from people you trust, from whose opinions you value. Tell them what your situation is. Be honest, and tell them either what you think you'd like to do, or why something may have not gone the way you wanted it to, or what you're looking for. And then just leverage the network you have, because whether you think you have a network or not, you do. There's got to be somebody out there, whether family or friends or colleagues, current, former, that understand you maybe better than you understand you. And so take for granted the fact that somebody else is happy to offer that. There's the saying, be nice to the people you see on the way up, because they're the same people you're going to see on the way down.
I like that. Thank you, Paul, for sharing your story, tips, and wisdom with our listeners today.
Thank you, Sabine. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and your audience.
That was my interview, and if you enjoyed it, give us a 5-star review, leave a comment, and share it with your friends. Thanks for listening. Until I see you again, always remember, serve from the heart, follow your passion, and live the life you imagine.